Hi all, Jin here with literally my very first How to Play where I actually have the burst already. I don't know if I should laugh or cry, but if you're curious how my pools went, the link to my pool battle with Inkwelder of the Toneberry Troop will be in the description. Cloud comes back with the whole shebang on LD, burst, level 80, and rework. Shout out to the Toneberry Troop, Rem, and the other content creators who helped make all this information possible. This video assumes a max Cloud, so let's go over his reworked base kit quickly first. His skill 1 cross slash is a brave gain of 80% attack into a brave HP attack executed 3 times, with the brave gain of 20% total HP damage before the third HP attack. It has a 35% chance to paralyze the enemy for 1 turn. His skill 2, finishing touch, is a brave gain of 80% attack into a brave HP attack executed 5 times with a brave gain of 20% total HP damage before the 5th and final HP attack, and it has 20% splash damage. It launches the enemy and makes the non-targets launchable, which is important. It extends all existing buffs by 1 turn and grants him all 3 of his generic buffs, 60% max brave up, 50% physical attack up, and 60% crit rate up for 9 turns. After using his skill 2, his skill 1 becomes his plus variant, which has a guaranteed paralyze, and it will revert back to its normal version after use. His EX ability Meteor Rain is a 6 alternating brave hit into a split AoE HP attack executed twice. It grants him his unique buff Mako, which increases his max brave by 90% with the brave regen of 160% high brave. His C65 ability is a 3 brave HP attack that increases his max brave by 20% for 4 turns. His LD ability is Blade Beam. It's a 6 AoE brave HP attack with 50% splash that delays all targets by 2 turns and grants a free ability after, excluding his LD of course. His burst ability, Omni Slash version 5, is a single target brave HP attack executed a whopping 12 times with a brave gain of 50% total HP damage before the 12th and final hit. It breaks the brave damage limit by 250% and HP damage limit by 150% with 20% splash. The burst effect is 4 turns for the party, which increases brave damage by 50%, brave limit by 20%, crit damage by 50%, and overflow by 30%. Pretty much it just helps everyone do more damage. His A Sphere is a great A Sphere, straight up 10% more brave damage on critical hits, easy to proc. Great for him or any DPS, especially those who do tons of brave hits, which is why I have this sphere on my Sephiroth. And for Cloud, otherwise, if you don't give him this, he wants anything that boosts his attack or brave damage. I give him Stragos, a bit random, but it's one that fits him alright. 5% attack up and then 5% extra overflow. And along with the refined spheres that boost attack as well. Size, D slot boosts party by 2% attack, and Seymour's for the E slot boosts attack by 60% after a debuff, which he will, obviously if you have their actual spheres, they would be great for him as well. For arts, you're going to of course want triple 108s, and for secondaries with him, I generally have leaned towards 330s just for his highest damage ceiling, but with all his HP dumps and brave gain based on attack, I can definitely see going with the debuff attack up as well, or you can just do a mix of both. I'd say if you're wanting debuff attack more than 330, better to at least have one 330 just so that he has some max brave improvement. Otherwise you'll have no max brave boost at all, which I never like on any DPS to have 0 max brave boosts. 170 is a decent option as well after those two, since it will boost his brave regen as well. And as usual for damage dealers with the high DPS armors, definitely get it if you plan on using it frequently, since breaking the brave and HP damage limit by 15% is huge. And also don't forget to get his World of Illusion weapon that dispels 1 buff on every critical hit from the token shop if you haven't yet. Very important for his extra utility, since it pretty much guarantees a dispel every action he takes. So, how to play Cloud. He's both simple and not. He starts off with all his buffs already, and his LD doesn't even give him any buffs, so he's got pretty much free roam to start off from the get-go. Doesn't require any setup, so with all this freedom, it makes him not so straightforward either. His opening move kind of depends on how you set up, or if you've already set up with your other party members already. If they're already set up and you have a good launch, then go ahead and start with his skill 2, or just start with the non-plus skill 1 otherwise. You can technically start with his LD also to give everyone nice breathing room to set up, and then he can go straight into a free launch afterwards, but I generally recommend saving it for when the AoE delays are more useful for a strong launch, unless it's a fast DPS race at the start. Don't be fooled by his low amount of 4 skill uses for skill 2, because even when not counting his bursts, you should have 8 skill 2 uses as long as you use his free skill use after LDs on skill 2 always, which you always should. So if you use an LD, plan to launch afterwards. This will then give you essentially 8 skill 1 plus uses, so you have like randomly non-plus version to use anywhere or at the very beginning, but otherwise try to always use skill 1 in its plus version. Don't ever run out of skill 2s before running out of his LD abilities. since the free ability should always be used on skill 2. Free ability on skill 1 is a waste. His EX is fast and up after every skill use, and so with the free skills and the fast EX, he does last a very long time, so you generally don't even need to bother with his HP++. Also, don't feel even compelled to use the EX whenever it's up. If you have a free skill, definitely use it on your skill 2 first. If you need to paralyze, just go ahead and skill 1+ first, and of course if you need to delay, just go ahead and use your LD, and then be prepared to use your skill 2 after the LD as well. So sometimes the EX can just sit there longer than normal, but it's okay. His EX can just be thought of as an AoE shaver when you need it outside of his LD, and keep in mind that it is alternating brave hits, so if there are 2 enemies to break in order, you actually have to target the enemy in front. Make sure to plan ahead for when you need to paralyze with your skill 1+, since it requires a skill 2 use first. And for the AA, it's very versatile. Just use it for more stats before burst, or just dump High Brave for free, or break one enemy while using one of his signal target skills to break the other, if you don't have or want to use EX or LD, etc. Now, how to play his burst. As usual, ideally set up any calls, AAs, and or friend BTs that you'd want up during your burst prior. Then there are essentially 2 options. The launch frenzy one, where you LD the turn before going into his burst, then you have a free skill on skill 2, and then LD on the other enemy for another launch, then skill 2 again on one enemy, then EX on a different enemy for a launch, then one last skill 2 before your burst ability. So essentially every action is a launch outside of the burst ability. The other option is if you don't have time to use LD prior and or want to paralyze in your burst also, then you start off with the LD in your burst, then you use a free skill on skill 2, then EX on the other enemy to launch them, then skill 2 again, and then go ahead into your skill 1+ on the other enemy to launch them, and then you go into your burst ability. So essentially, even in that scenario, the only launch you don't have will be the LD and the burst ability. But you've also essentially conserved an LD use for after now as well that you can use with the burst effect up, and you would have been able to paralyze an enemy during the burst as well. So it's up to you which one to go with, but essentially you have to milk the most out of your skill 2s and use the other abilities on the launchable enemies afterwards. So onto his cons. He's slow, hence the fast EX recharge, but it can be problematic to get proper launches, paralyzes, or delays if he's not acting fast enough. He also has 4 buffs, 3 being generic, which come from his often used skill 2, so you can often end up having to constantly juggle his buffs. He could be either losing his own buffs from lesser supports pushing them off, or he could be pushing off better buffs from other supports with his own, since his buffs don't overlap much with others. He brings no battery whatsoever to the party, so you could end up with a lot of lackluster launches depending on his teammates. His EX still is the same as it was on his EX Plus release, so it's a bit outdated in comparison to others, hence the non-issue of skipping it for his other skills sometimes. And if you have all of his weapons, he is a CP hog. He's always dying for more CP. So if you need to remove some passives, I'd start with the 15 CP Jarring Blow and his 10 CP Brave Plus and HP Plus board passives, which he will rarely, if ever, use anyways. Alright, onto his pros. Lots of random utility for a damage dealer, so he can fit into many fights and team comps. He has Paralyze, Launch, which also makes non-targets launchable, Delay, and Dispel, assuming you got his World of Illusion weapon, which you should. And with his new rework skills, it has multiple HP dumps, allowing him to deal plenty of damage when starting at a high Brave. And he's also somewhat self-sustaining with his own buffs and Brave regen, and has amazing longevity due to his long buff durations, free skills, and fast EX. Due to his slow speed, your party can also take advantage of his burst effect longer, which just helps everyone just deal more damage. So my final thoughts on Cloud: while he doesn't bring the eye-popping damage numbers, he is an amazing utility damage dealer. He can seem kind of bland on paper, but he can easily have massive self-sustaining regen with regen parties. He can get you out of jams with his guaranteed paralyzes or clutch AoE delays. He can dispel annoying enemy buffs without even doing anything special. It just needs a crit on anything he does pretty much. And he helps to do big ass damage with his launching, especially if you build parties specifically catered to launch. Since Cloud brings tons of launches, he just needs help with the battery. And with him you can just spam skills since he lasts forever. And while you can't put him up there as a must pull or with lightning in terms of powerhouse, but if you're a Cloud fan, he shouldn't disappoint, and if you accidentally got him, he definitely can still be very useful for you. Alright, so speaking of launch parties, I have one just for this Lufenia. Cloud is Keiss' next launch buddy after Noctis, and with Rem's swap turns, this is a team that can run around the bosses launching them plenty. It's kind of a big brained comp to be used super efficient with, so I might make some mistakes, but should be okay for the most part since I've used Rem a ton already, and happy to have her back at level 80 with character boards as well. And you definitely want to take Pandemonium Summon when you take Cloud for extra launch damage. For Friend, Wow, well, we gotta use Josh here. No cloud burst, but who cares? Part of the Jinli clan. That's so 2000s, but a big shout out to Josh Johnson and the Johnson family for probably the best screen name tags and support messages in the game, if I'm gonna be non-biased. Obviously non-biased. Always appreciate their support. Alright, let's do this. Poor Rem, only person who doesn't start out with her own buffs up. Alright, so let's set up before we begin the launch party. Bring back Cloud's slow butt. And I guess we can start now. We can put that debuff on from Keiss. Bring Cloud back again. Let's keep this party going. Do I want to use my LD already? He is already paralyzed. Will be kind of a waste to use my skill 1+. Oh well, whatever, let's just use it. And come back again, Cloud. We can just use the AA break. Go into the LD delay. That was not really needed, but whatever. Let's keep this party going. Let's go behind Rem here, who should have her EX up. Yes, perfect. So this will keep the other enemy launchable as well, if you remember how Keiss' buff works. It won't be much damage here, so let's save the launch. Damn it. I guess I should have launched him before, since now Cloud will launch anyways with the skill 2 and free ability. There's my first mistake already. Alright, come back, guys. You can delay everyone yourself now as well. You might as well get the launch as well. Time to finally get Rem's cure buff up. And I guess we'll let them take their first turns here, since we do need that orb to get reset. And you actually don't even need both paralyzed. As long as one is paralyzed, the orb resets for both. Easy cakes. Okay, back to launching. Rem EX should be up again. Yep, perfect. Here we go again. Keiss still busted as usual. Okay, wow, they're going to give us even more turns now. Not a smart move. Gotta love that Keiss skill 1 damage though. That's his most OP skill, obviously. Alright, let's put down the para for when they get an orb later again. Bring up slow Cloud again. More launch party. Won't be that much damage, so we'll save the launch. Let's just go ahead and battery for the launch with Cloud. So we can use the EX for the launch here. Always love Keiss as second in the launch order. Let's keep this train going. Refresh an ability here. And go behind Rem. We should have our EX up again. Perfect. Now we're rolling. Use a crap skill 1 here. Yeah, now we can delay them all with LD for the launch here. Bring Cloud back up. Free skill and launch with Keiss second. Perfect. Alright, here we go again with the orbs. Save that launch for Cloudo. Battery. And I can use the EX for the launch. Gotta say, I'm loving this right now. Normally I don't really like playing launch parties, but it's pretty fun every now and then. Especially being able to try to big brain it a bit. Let's let them go again to reset the orb. Get our AAs up in the meantime, since the orb will reset. And we can get down another paralyzed for later. Bring back Cloudo. And here we go again. Easy damage. Crap skill 1 or Brave Battery. I guess crap skill 1. Let's go ahead and battery for cloud launch. EX launch. Good time for a delay here. Wow, Keiss is really doing absolute crap damage outside of his launches though. Shows how powerful his launch mechanic is. Alright, come back here, Keiss. Let's get this going again so you can do some proper damage. Rem EX for launch. Beautiful. Always feels odd on these off turns with Keiss where he can't do much. Let's refresh skill 2 before they reset their orbs again. And we can go behind Cloud here also. He can launch with LD, no problem here. Yep. Okay, there go their orbs already. Wow. 2 easy cakes. Let's just battery, I guess. You do no damage anyways. And we can bring up Cloud. I guess that launch again doesn't really matter because he's free skill on skill 2 anyways. Let's just AA here for the final push and some battery. Come back, Cloudo. EX launch, that too bad Rem won't be a part of. Nice delay here though. Let's just start using everything, I guess. So last push after this. Do I want to LD into burst or just burst? Yeah, let's just burst. So let's get my AA up first. Then get out Miss Pinello here. And then into the beautiful burst, baby. Alright, so since I didn't LD prior, my rotation will start with the LD first. And then we go into the launch party. EX to launch the other guy. Now skill 2 again. Gotta love Keiss making brave out of nowhere in these launches. Then finally the paralyzed launch. And to end it with one of the best first animations in my opinion. I am a sucker for Advent children. Okay, now we have the burst effect up and they're almost dead. And we still have a friend and still have a summon. This is over. Let's just continue the launch party. Oh, whoops. Forgot Rem has her free ability here. I guess she has the HP attack here, then no free skill for you. I don't think I'll even need summon. The launches should be enough to end it. We'll get a last delay launch here. Just definitely don't use the last skill 2 before you use your last LD. delay here. I don't think they're going to act again. Come here, Cloudo. We don't care about wasting your burst effect. This is over. Free skill on skill 2. Come back, Cloudo. Let's just randomly try to make this without a friend or summon used. Wasn't part of the plans initially, but why not? We're here already. It's definitely doable. Goodbye, B. I'll go behind Rem here. EX launch. Alright, 1% left. Do you have what it takes, Keiss? Probably not. That crap skill 1. Yep. Well, boss gotta go again, but he's paralyzed anyways. Let Cloud finish the job, it's only appropriate anyways. And there you have it. Didn't have to worry about the orb much. It's pretty easy with Cloud, just let them act with the paralyze to reset the orb. Didn't even have to summon, didn't even have to bring in a friend unit. So obviously if you use them it'll be even easier. If you don't have Cloud, you will want another launcher to get rid of their non-delay mechanic when it comes up. And then you need another paralyzed unit for dealing with their orbs. Unless you can deal enough damage that it doesn't even matter. But if you have Cloud, it's pretty straightforward. Nothing at all like the previous Lufenias. As for my arts, Cloud I showed before, he has Strago Sphere and the Refined Saz and Seymour Sphere. Triple 108 330s. Rem has double Alphino Refined Spheres, which raise Eye Braven attack for the party. And triple 108 330s. Keiss has his own sphere, and Saz and Vincent Refined Spheres. Vincent gives a nice attack down. And then triple C50s with the 330 for extra battery. Alright, that is it. I hope this video was helpful and got to see what Cloud can do in the right party. Rem helps his slow speed and Keiss is Keiss. Them crazy launches be hitting hard. They pretty much destroyed that Lufenia with Cloud being the only character with more than an EX+. Obviously the fight is catered for Cloud, but his utility is still very useful moving forward. Just don't expect him to hit super hard if you're not utilizing his launches well. Alright, thanks everyone for watching, and I wish you all a happy new year, and take care everyone. Bye.
You'll be my living legacy.